beat. It might be both of our beat. Hi, Toki. Love you, buddy.
Hey, man.
What's happening?
What's happening with you?
I'm chilling. I'm excited about today's show.
Y'all, listen.
Y'all don't even know.
We are particularly excited for today's episode. We got a lot of fun shit for you today.
And other shit.
And
the fun shit right out of the gate.
We got fun shit on top of fun shit with a little bit of fun shit sprinkled in the middle of the fun shit.
Whoa.
Yeah. About to fuck your whole day up in the best way. We love you guys. It's the What If Podcast.
Hell yeah.
Hell yeah.
We got new sounders.
Oh, ooh, I'm feeling fucking spicy today, bro.
Hell yeah.
The sweary boys are all up in your earballs.
Hell yeah, bro.
Oh, man.
It's going to be a good one.
It's going to be so good, especially when it comes like truly out of nowhere. And I'm going to need you to hit it after you say the thing you're about to say.
Got it. We have an important announcement.
We have a very important
Time
announcement.
sensitive, urgent.
Don't fast forward right now.
Or ever. Because our show is great.
Yes. But particularly right now, you're going to want to hear this.
We are giving away a ticket to Contact in the Desert.
Oh, shit.
Hell yeah, bro.
That's right. That's right.
All you need to do is go over to Instagram.com/whatifpod.
Don't go. What?
Is that how
You're so bad at this. Open the Instagram app on your phone. Search @WhatIfPod.
Y'all don't use Firefox to access Instagram?
Boy, you better get your mind right.
Go follow us on Instagram. There's a post about Contact in the Desert. Comment on it with why you should get a free ticket to Contact in the Desert before noon this Friday. And we're going to pick somebody and give them a ticket.
And by this Friday, Spencer means May 24th, in case you're...
2019. Year of our Lord.
2019, in case you're very behind on our back catalog and you're listening from the early episodes. Shout out to Contact in the Desert. We kind of got to partner with them on this. Thanks to Contact in the Desert. Spencer is going to have a little bit more additional access to the event.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, there we go. Which is going to make for great content for all of us.
Many access, bro.
But also, if you want to go, you can go on the What If Podcast's dime, if you will.
It's really Contact in the Desert's dime.
Well, right, but like
we're all friends here.
Via our dime, their dime via our dime.
Our dimes are your dimes, bro.
All your dimes belong to us. It's a $270 value. It does not include airfare or lodging, so you got to be able to do that part, or you got to live in the California area and be able to make it happen. But if you can make it happen and you want to make it happen, we will get you a free ticket to Contact in the Desert. So just go to @WhatIfPod on Instagram, and like we said, our most recent photo is just a photo of Contact in the Desert, and their fucking badass logo that looks like what's the fucking movie?
Star Trek.
The Fifth Element.
Ooh.
Is that the one with Bruce Willis?
Maybe. I don't know what you're going for.
Yeah.
Fifth Element with Bruce Willis is a great film.
Yeah, doesn't it kind of look like the movie poster for that
Ryan's
movie?
trying to talk about movies. It's not going so well.
I've seen that movie though. Fuck with your boy. I'm pretty sure it kind of looks like the movie poster for that movie.
Sure.
But that's the photo. Comment on that photo why you should be the person to get that ticket. And we're going to pick somebody by noon.
Also, this is not at all random. It's very dependent on how much we laugh at your answer.
Yeah.
The algorithm is we're going to read all of them and choose one.
Yeah, and we'll read the best ones on the show next week.
Yes,
and maybe you'll get some Instagram followers out of it. So anyway, shout out to the folks at Contact in the Desert. Shout out to all y'all, and we're excited to see what people say, and we're excited to send somebody to Contact in the Desert to hang out with Spencer and official What If correspondent.
Oh, jeez.
The official correspondent.
2 Deckard, bud.
Dan Brew Ploy Pros.
Yes.
Okay.
You want to talk about weird shit?
Are you getting excited to go?
Yeah.
Yeah. Bro, you're going to be in California.
Yeah, that's a good place.
It's apparently still like high 40s and rainy in Minneapolis.
It's 110
fucking June.
In Indian Wells, California.
Oh, bro, you're going to be wearing sunglasses and indulging in the sweet greens and fucking warm and shit.
Yep.
I'm jelly, bro. I'm freaking jelly, bro.
It's going to be a good time. Got made plans for Dog Dude while I'm gone.
Ooh.
On the new Sounders note.
Yep.
Whenever we go into Dad Dog
Ghost Blog.
Yeah.
Bark, bork, bork.
Oh, yes.
Bark, bjork, bark.
got a few variations of dog source for us, just so we're prepared now.
Phenomenal. It's almost as if the dogs can weigh in on our conversation.
Bark, bjork, bark.
I could take us down like a complete and utter Dead Dogs Ghost Blog fucking
Oh! Yeah, bro!
I could
We got nothing but time, dog.
That's gonna make me happy every time I hear that dude yell, hell yeah, bro. If you guys don't know where that's from,
Fucking banana bread at work, bro.
we're gonna
Hell yeah.
we're gonna keep it that much secret, but boy, you need it in your life.
I need to go back though and grab the one part where he says like there's a lot of bad shit in the world.
There's a lot of bad shit in the world.
Yeah, whenever we talk about spooky things.
Yeah. Because
we're not talking about anything too spooky this week, so we'll be okay.
No, we're on the light spooky side.
You want to talk
on the weird
about
side.
Dad Dog Ghost Blog segment, or should we get to the spookiness?
I'll save it for the Patreon this week.
Bark, bork, bork.
The last one is so good.
We'll close that for now, but
Okay.
we'll talk a little bit more about the doggos on the Patreon this week. But let's get into this week's.
So wait. You don't want to talk about your dog right now?
Hell no.
Yep. There we go. Dude, now
Hell no.
I feel like you should have given me the soundboard with new sounders, especially because your notes for this episode are better than mine, I'm sure.
We got the world's longest USB cable if you want to get down.
I gotta do.
All right.
Y'all, on the Patreon episode last week, I got the sounder board for the first time.
I thought
it was transformative to my life, my personhood, my joy.
I thought I was ordering 1.6 meter long USB cables, and I ordered 16-foot long USB cables. So you can go anywhere you want. You could probably go outside and still be hitting buttons with this shit.
Yeah, and I think, if you had any doubt whether or not
Those two are fucking dumb.
Yes.
Spencer's ability to
Correct.
read 1.6 meters
man,
versus
you know
16
what?
feet is,
We should all be using the metric system anyway. This imperialism shit is over.
I mean, you're right.
Give me some meters.
You're not
1.6 meters would have been perfect for my purposes.
You're not wrong.
Okay.
Now I can hold the soundboard.
You do what you want to do. Oh. I have your volume still though, so I get like veto power over here.
You can just mute me
If it goes
instantly.
off the rails, I can just turn you down. Yeah.
Ryan's hit 46 buttons in the last 13 seconds. It's not going great.
You want to talk about the Brown Mountain Lights?
You're Brown Mountain.
It was even funnier the second time you said it.
I texted Spencer that he's a Brown Mountain with a poop emoji when he suggested we do this topic.
And I laughed 0 times.
And I still believe it to be true and laughed again now. And also when I sent it to you the first time.
Proud of you.
Thank you.
Have you ever been to North Carolina?
No, you know what?
North Kakalaka?
One sounder that I did want us to pull that we did not pull is
Take your shirt off, spin around your head like a helicopter?
Petey Pablo. Yes, absolutely. Petey
There's
Pablo.
still time. We can hit pause. we can pull. I got some Petey Pop on my computer. I
Petey
think
Pablo would have been a great addition.
I got
to,
the 12-inch single somewhere around here. I might have it might have the acapella on it. Actually,
You and 35 other people in the world. That's crazy.
that instrumental is amazing.
Yeah, that song is amazing with vocals or without.
Going back to our earlier conversation, is that a Timbaland beat? Raise up, because it sounds like it might be.
Might be.
It'll sound like some Timbo.
It's got
drums.
some Tim drums. I was just gonna say.
I think I have that acapella and the instrumental somewhere in this room.
I have never been to North Carolina. I have always wanted to go to North Carolina. All I hear about North Carolina is that it's beautiful, that you get ocean, you get mountains, you get like great forest vistas, the food's supposed to be great. I feel like all those things combined sound like a very nice place to go.
I had a fantastic time in Asheville a couple of years ago.
Why were you in Asheville?
For the fuck of it.
Tight.
We the wifey and I took a little road trip down to Nashville and Knoxville and Asheville and then back on up.
That's right. I do remember
With a
this.
stop in Bloomington, Indiana on the way back.
That is 100% a Timbaland beat.
Cool. Asheville is lovely. We spent like 3 days there. We actually went up Brown Mountain and looked for lights.
Wait, did you really?
Well,
What?
the best place to see them is adjacent to Brown Mountain because they're supposedly on Brown Mountain. But
Bruh, I did not know that you had a
little
personal
research.
experience.
This was pre-podcast, but I did a little research into where to best see them. Unfortunately, I did not see anything, but the Great Smoky Mountains are lovely, and I would highly recommend spending time there.
Well, I did not know that you had participated in this physically, and for that, I apologize.
This is just going to be you saying things only to set up sounders for the next hour or so?
No, I may devolve into not speaking and only speaking in sounders.
Finally.
In reaction to the things that you tell me about the Brown Mountain Lights.
Moog is headquartered in Asheville, North Carolina.
I don't know what you just said.
The synthesizer guys.
Oh, okay. Yes, I do.
They have they have a store, and then you can also like go walk through their factory and shit.
I definitely thought that was like an acronym for some sort of topic related to our show that I did not recognize when you said it.
No, they just make cool instruments and synths and stuff.
Now that I know
There's
what
a lot
you're
of
talking about.
really good beer and food and stuff there. It's a good town.
Cool. And turns out they've got their own healthy dose of weird shit.
Yeah. Last time when I was there, our good friend and friend of the podcast, Steph /POS, happened to be in town. It was a great time.
Did you get to hang out?
No.
You just were sharing space.
Yeah.
Cosmically.
Yeah, they got some weird alien lights. Maybe.
Well, let's talk about it. Let's talk about it.
W.
Don't you fucking get that shit 10 miles the fuck out of here.
Hey, I thought you were only hitting buttons.
You're a piece of shit.
There we go.
There we go.
Let Crump do the talking. Yeah, they got ghost lights over the mountain, or maybe on the mountain. Brown Mountain it's like 70 miles ish northeast of Asheville, or 85 miles
northwest
of Charlotte.
Yes.
So it's like if you drew whatever. It's north of Charlotte and north of Asheville.
It's in the Appalachians.
Hour and a half. Yep. Not that much of a mountain in that it's like relatively short. I think it's like maybe 28 to 3,000 feet.
Yep.
2,800 to 3,000 feet.
It's roughly 28 feet to 3,000 feet tall. We don't know. We'll never know.
It's 2,800 to 3,000-ish feet at its height, which is not very much. But around the mountain, people have seen lights that either rise up from the mountain as if they're hovering, flying, something above the mountain, or have seen mountains or lights on the mountain. So like lights that don't appear to have any obvious source moving around on the like ground level on the surface of the mountain.
Say, you all didn't happen to do a bunch of drugs, did you?
Maybe.
I did stumble across an interview with people who have seen these lights. There are many, for what it's worth. There are...
Going back quite a ways, too.
Yeah, there's some conflicting information about when the first sightings of the Brown Mountain Lights happened. There is a lot of talk around the Cherokee Native population in the area having stories that go back multiple hundreds of years about a similar concept.
I'm always skeptical of those stories, though, because it's never, like, in this case, Cherokee people telling those stories, or at least that I can find. It's always like some white dude with a blog saying that the Cherokee people said these things.
Yeah, I get
so
that.
I just don't trust it, and then usually I don't talk about it on the show.
That's fair. I just say that to say I think there's like a wide spectrum of reports of when the first sort of documented versions of the Brown Mountain Lights
The
occurred.
more modern version starts in the early 1900s.
Yeah, late 1800s, early 1900s is when we first have like broader confirmation of it. And since then, there's been hundreds, if not like closer to the thousands of versions of eyewitness sightings of this.
What's a little weird is that the earlier sightings, like the farther back you go, the more the sightings tend to be lights hovering above the mountains.
Yep.
So like just above the horizon. And then either like accelerating up or just sort of fading as they go higher, farther away from ground level.
Right.
And then the more modern sightings tend to be lights on the actual mountain. So it looks like someone is either moving around. It would be like if someone had a really bright flashlight or something and was moving quickly along the surface of the mountain.
Sure.
Did you see there's video from I forget which TV show it was.
Nat Geo.
Yeah. Did you watch that video?
Yeah. So if you go on YouTube, there's a night vision shot film from what I believe was a National Geographic crew. Is that right?
Yeah, I don't remember what they were filming for specifically, if it was like a special or...
But the topic of what they were filming was or was not about the Brown Mountain Lights.
I believe it was.
Okay. So they were filming, and there's about, I think it's all told, it's like 6 minutes.
A few minutes.
Yeah, but the action happens in the first like 45 seconds to a minute of the clip. And it's a group of guys... And the way that it looks is, to your point earlier, Brown Mountain is not a mountain really. It's more of like a ridge, like a big ridge, and there are vantage points.
There are a lot of hills.
Yeah, hills. It's sort of a gorge. There's vantage points in the area that are accessible, but the Brown Mountain area and like the gorge itself is not really accessible. It's not drivable.
I think you'd probably have to hike in and out,
and you'd have to be doing some pretty intense hiking to do it. It seems
Is
like
it?
Yeah, from all the reports I can tell, you're talking about doing like multi-mile untraversed, wooded.
Most of the sightings come from along Highway 181, which is gives you some good vantage points or good viewing points of Brown Mountain.
Yeah,
so the idea is that the lights emanate from or around Brown Mountain, but to see them, you have to like have some distance between you and Brown Mountain.
Right. So you have Wiseman's View, which is 13 kilometers west of Brown Mountain. There is Lost Cove Overlook, which is 16 kilometers northwest of Brown Mountain.
I fuck with it. We're using metric.
Yeah, this is
no. It's great. It's perfect.
It's from a Skeptoid article who did these measurements.
They would use metric, by the way.
True. And then there's also a Forest Service overlook that is about 8 kilometers away. And from all three of those main primary vantage points, you can see into sort of like the gorge area where these are known to happen. Though I will say, I did see reports that the Brown Mountain Lights have historically been reported from as far distances as Blowing Rock, North Carolina, which is actually 29 miles north of Brown Mountain. So someone from a distance, from a high vantage point, was able to look into Brown Mountain and see some version of this at some point. I don't have like the actual story that corresponded with that sighting, but I find it interesting.
We don't worry about those sorts of things.
We don't worry about that. Breadth and fuckery.
Correct.
Not depth. But I do find
accuracy.
Yeah. But I do find it interesting that it's a thing that is like, I think with, what was the fucking, the monster in the small town episode that we just did not that long ago? Flatwoods Monster. With that one, it was a impactful incident or sighting or whatever it was, but it was really isolated to a specific time period in a very specific group of people in a very specific small town. What I find fascinating about the Brown Mountain Lights is, yes, like
it's reproducible in a way.
Yeah, like Morgantown or Morganton is the town that's like closest to it.
Sure.
Which is not a very big town, but many people from that town have seen it, and many people from the surrounding area have seen something in this vicinity.
To that point, just in terms of like how frequently and for how long of a time period these have been documented.
Yep.
Some scientists from Appalachian State University, somewhat recently, I think this was in the last year or so.
Yep.
Actually captured some footage of the Brown Mountain Lights. This was 2016, so a couple years ago. And they had, for several years, cameras set up just pointed at Brown Mountain from a couple different vantage points.
Sure.
And every so often they would just review the footage to see, okay,
anomalies,
anything weird going on.
Right.
No. All right. Put them back out.
Which, for what it's, sorry, just really quickly, from like all the research that I saw, there was a lot of people who were saying something similar where they were like, look, if this has been documented by eyewitness like reports for over 100 years.
And some photo and video evidence over the years too.
For sure. I mean, like you can go on YouTube and there's a lot of articles out there that have stills of people who've caught something weird. Somebody was like, look, it's fucking 2019. Like, can we please just put up some nonstop recording devices and like let them ride in the area for long enough to get something?
So these researchers from Appalachian State did that. They had 2 time-lapse video cameras, both pointed at the mountain from different vantage points. It's Daniel Caton, Caton, I don't know, Caton? Daniel Caton, who knows?
Yep.
And Lee Hawkins, they both teach in the physics and astronomy department at Appalachian State. And in 2016, they captured what people describe as Brown Mountain lights on both of these cameras simultaneously. They said, quote, "This is the first time we've had a dual detection. It was something out there. It came on and went back off virtually instantly." And they're referring to the light itself 4 times over several minutes. We've eliminated all the things that are likely man-made or natural sources, so we're left with no real explanation other than it's whatever the lights might actually be.
Oh, I'm nervous.
So they're looking at it from the standpoint of enough people are reporting this, seeing it, photographing it, filming it, that like something is happening. So we should be able to scientifically figure out what it is.
Hell yeah.
Whether it's something natural, whether it's a natural phenomenon that we were previously unaware of, whether it's a hoax of some kind, whatever, we should be able to figure it out.
One of the things, so I actually did not encounter this story, but I find that extremely interesting, primarily because, and we'll get to this later, but one of the primary explanations for these lights that people say is, well, if you're high enough up to be at one of the 3 vantage points that I just talked about, excuse me, and actually if you go with a lot of the photos and videos that you see, it actually is more of a downward looking vantage point than an upward looking vantage point. Mm-hmm. Like it's almost like people looking into like the valley gorge area around the sort of elevated, I keep not wanting to call it a mountain, but I guess it technically is.
Yeah, whatever.
Like the elevated mountain ridge that is Brown Mountain, a lot of it is downward facing. And when you see it from a downward vantage point, what you see is that in the distance around the area, there are man-made lights visible in like the surrounding Appalachian towns.
Right.
That sort of circle.
It's not a
the right
super
word.
remote area.
Yeah, I mean, like the Appalachians are, and like Brown Mountain itself specifically is, but from that view, it's not remote enough where you're just like looking 100 miles.
It's not totally dark or anything.
Yeah, you're not looking 100 miles into the distance. You're looking probably at like 10 to maybe 15 miles, but still within your sight line, you're seeing like man-made lighting. And I guess what I'm trying to point out is that one of the explanations a lot of people put forth is that, well, is this just a reflection of light that is coming off of lenses or eyeballs or whatever?
Reflecting off, that's what I don't understand. Like, reflecting off what?
Atmosphere?
I've
I don't
been
know.
in many urban and rural settings and never seen a light that I couldn't identify.
Yeah.
My eyeball doesn't just randomly reflect things.
Yeah. Like a fucking laser pointer or something.
That explanation just hasn't ever really made sense to me.
I'm totally with you, but I think what's compelling about this specific story is that when you get it from 2 vantage points, you have documentation that
it's an actual light source.
There's
of
a
some
light
kind.
source,
Yeah,
exactly,
yeah.
because a reflection when it would go through something and then would hit you, but you wouldn't see that same light source
From 2
happening
different
from
angles.
a side angle.
Yeah.
Having 2 angles means there's a source of light
That's a great
happening there.
So, to your point,
Yep.
One more quote from these Appalachian State professors. They said, quote, "This is significant. We hope to host a symposium in the future, blah, blah, blah. Does this verify the Brown Mountain lights? I believe it does. Do we have an explanation? We do not."
For sure.
So basically saying the fact that we caught this from 2 different angles at the same time means it's something.
Right.
We don't know what it is yet, and that's going to take more work to figure it out if we can.
Right.
but there is something physical here creating light.
Totally.
It's not a reflection. It's not an illusion or a hallucination. We have it on film from two different cameras at the same time from two different perspectives. There is a real something here.
Right. There's I think I mentioned this and we got slightly off topic, but there's a video that I stumbled across while I was researching, and it's of a family in North Carolina where one gentleman who's related to the family, I couldn't catch the family dynamic, but their family lived in the Morgantown area.
I believe it's Morganton.
Morganton, is that right?
I don't know. We'll go with it.
Morganton works for me. Basically like set up a couple cameras and said to like his family members who lived in the area, hey, like, you know, I'm interested in hearing about the Brown Mountain Lights. Have you seen them? And they are very Southern, like very Appalachian, like folk who are like, yeah, I've seen them. Like they're like, yeah, like no doubt.
What of it?
I've been up that mountain fucking 60 fucking times, and like 10% of the time I go up there, I see the Brown Mountain Lights.
Yeah.
And he's like kind of skeptical. He's like, really? Like you see them? He's like, yeah, like everybody's seen them. Hey, like when did you see them? And like his niece, I think, comes up and she's like probably, 15 or whatever. And she's like, well, one night me and so-and-so were out there. It was like 1 a.m. We saw the fucking Brown Mountain Lights. Like,
you doing Southern child accents now?
Southern, yes. And we need Cam to call in and be like our fucking dirtiest Southern accent.
Do we? We haven't heard from him in a minute, actually.
612-246-4614. If you want to leave us a voicemail, that's how you can leave us a voicemail. You can tell us literally anything you want.
It's true.
And Cam, you can tell us what you think about the Southern Appalachian folk.
I seen them goddamn lights fucking 20 times.
That's pretty good. That's pretty good.
Thank you.
It's pretty good, Cam.
Where you at, Cam? I'm doing accents
Where you
now.
at, Cam?
Fuck with your boy.
Fuck with your boy. But I guess what I'm trying to say is this family of people, the earnestness that they expressed, and they're sort of like it's not like a. I think with a lot of the things that we talk about, there is a stigma to the thing that people
It's just an accepted part of life for them.
It's not even a question. Everybody in the family had seen them at some point or another, and only a couple of them had shared experiences.
You're saying that validates the phenomena for you?
It makes me feel like it is there's a level of legitimacy to it that like they had all generations. It was this guy, what I think were his cousins, his grandpa, and then his like niece, one of their daughters, were all having a conversation on a porch, and they all talked about a different time that they had been up Brown Mountain and had seen them. And like even like the grandpa was like, I don't want to talk about that. And he was like, come on, just like talk about it. Like I want to hear what you're. He's like, I just don't want to talk about it. And he was like, just sit down for like 1 second. He's like, all right, like what do you want to know? And like he was like, it wasn't like he was ashamed of it. He was just like that. Yeah, that shit. Boring. Like that's just that shit. Like that's just shit everybody talks about.
I'm kind of torn on that because I could see it as a legitimizing factor in terms of like. It's happening so often and it's so accepted that like it must be real because everyone knows about it, and there's so many sightings that it's just a common everyday occurrence.
And the flip side of it is if you haven't seen it, you're ostracized because everyone else has seen it, and it's like,
or it becomes this part of the culture and the mythology and the lore of that region, this community, and like we've seen examples of that with things that are objectively false.
I think we have. I think the difference for me with my experience looking into this is it lasted for such a long period of time of repeated sightings of the same thing. And the volume of eyewitness sightings of the same thing over that period of time, to me, overwhelms that part of it.
Yeah.
I totally agree with you. In other situations, we have for sure seen some of that like groupthink stuff. But to me,
or even where not even necessarily groupthink, but just like where it becomes this story almost that is told generationally.
Right.
I'm thinking, for example, of like the like in terms of cultural myths and stories and stuff, like the Korean myth that you can die if you leave a fan on overnight. You familiar with this one?
What?
Yeah, fan death. This is new to you? Okay.
Bro, I've been sleeping with a fan on every night since I was like 13 years old.
But are you dead?
Oh, fuck.
You might be dead. Dad Dog Ghost Blog.
I'm disturbed. I don't know why I decided to do this.
Bro, I need the sound pad I'm killing it today, man. I'm crushing out here.
Happy for you.
Thank
if you were
you.
really crushing, you would have hit a hell yeah, bro, for yourself right there, but it's okay.
I got the scream at least. I'm still learning where everything is, so I'm like 2 seconds too slow on every thought reaction I'm having.
It keeps getting bigger and bigger too. Now you got like 60 samples you got to scroll through.
Hell yeah, bro!
Also, are we in agreement that the first one is orange on there now? Now that you've seen the software companion to it?
The software companion has taught me something different than what the visual of this has taught me.
What color is the salt lamp?
Orange.
Sick.
Okay, yeah. I'm not colorblind.
No, we're on the same page.
Yes.
I guess and Korean listeners, correct me if I'm wrong or misrepresenting this somehow.
Hi at whatifpodcast.com.
There is a myth or a legend or a whatever tale that if you sleep with a fan on, you risk death. Which is obviously false. Which is obviously false. But is like a part of the culture. It's a myth. It's a ongoing, like, I don't know. I definitely understand what you're saying. I guess for me though, the difference is it would be different if there were multiple Korean people who were like, yeah, I firsthand saw that my sister fell asleep with her fan on and she fucking died. She passed on instantly.
And I have evidence of that because my sister is now no longer on this planet.
Got a mummy sister now.
Yeah, like to me the difference with the Brown Mountain Lights is there are many people who can cite very specific instances. Hey,
well, also we have video. I mean, that's the main difference.
Also we have video, but I'm just saying if you add video on top of 1,000 or 2,000 or 5,000 separate people who go, yeah, I was up there on this night with these people and we saw, like that's a different version of like.
No, you're right.
Yes, so I mean, it goes,
and if it were just the anecdotal stuff, I would be more inclined to dismiss it or like be more skeptical about it. But when you combine that with multiple people photographing, filming this stuff, and this legend, myth, whatever it is, these stories persisting for 100+ years now,
right?
I think you might actually have something.
Yes,
we should stop here. Speaking of death, and do our shout outs real quick.
Ayo!
Before we forget, like we usually do, and then have to awkwardly put them back in the middle of a conversation.
Which we won't do this week.
No, never. Editing. We never edit our podcasts.
Honestly, though.
I mean.
We don't.
When you put it like that.
We don't. Hey, it's shout outs. If you want to.
I don't have the copy, by the way.
That's okay. I do. It's a thing we do. For $50, we'll say pretty much anything you want on the show. If you just go
Within
to
reason.
whatifpodcast.com/shoutout or shoutouts, either the singular or the plural will get you there. You get like 250 characters to tell the world anything you want to tell them.
I believe we said 200 words, didn't we? Is it characters? Whatever.
Oh yeah, that's right. 200 words, 250 words.
Say what you need to say.
You get the point. It's a short enough message to tell someone, hey, congratulations on graduating. You could do what former listeners have, like tell people to watch a television show that hasn't been on the air in 9 years, but you really fucking love and you want people to enjoy.
Or if you want to throw us $50 and say, hey, go comment what the fuck on my ex's Instagram profile.
We'll do, well, I don't know.
I'll do it.
That's a little hateful.
At Big Cats Beats.
But hey, maybe they're a terrible person. And
I might be.
And maybe we will do that.
We got 2 this week?
Shoutouts. We got 2 this week. Number 1.
Pull up that copy.
Number 1.
Good sir.
Oh God. I gotta change tools, man.
Just calm down though.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Relaxing saxophone music under it and you're screaming.
You turned down my mistake, however, so it didn't actually make it.
Read the shit, bro.
Okay, here we go.
I'll turn down the saxophone.
All right, there we go. Yeah, maybe that's why I'm yelling, because I got a lot of saxophone in my earbuds.
Chill out.
All right, y'all. Shout out number 1 comes to us from John in Minneapolis. And John says, no, I say, a Minnesota homie started a podcast about the world's shared inevitable demise. It's called You're Dead Too.
Ah, fuck. I've perished.
Hosted by Minnesota native John Toyson, the show takes a weekly look at death, dying, and the unavoidable end of all things with family, friends,
Family and friends.
family, friends, and strangers in his home. Spencer, ask me a question about You're Dead Too.
Hey, what am I supposed? You mouthed something. It's okay. Ryan, you ever been dead, bro?
Is it trash?
Is the podcast trash?
Hell no!
You got buttons for that, bro.
Sorry.
Hey, Ryan, is the podcast trash?
No.
Thank you.
No, it is not trash at all. It's actually very dope. It's super interesting. I not to get like too serious on it, but death and dying is like a thing that has happened to me and I think like us as like a show a lot as people. And so I find the concept interesting to explore, and I think John does a pretty good job of exploring what the fuck is it and what happens, and actually I think is doing a really cool thing to like destigmatize conversations around a thing that like a lot of us find really hard to talk about.
Because it's scary.
I
don't want to die.
But don't take my word for it. You should find out for yourself, and you should do that by going to You're Dead Too, searching for that in iTunes or on Spotify or whatever you get your podcast. That's UR, but with an apostrophe, You're Dead Too, as in TOO as well. Not You're Dead 2, as in like the second of 2 films. Anyway, You're Dead Too, and remember, no matter in life what you try to do, you're dead too.
All right, second one.
John said at that point you're supposed to, parentheses, say something mean, but not that mean.
Me?
Yeah, which is great because John listens to our show well enough to know that you're able to say mean things on the show on a semi-regular basis.
Well, okay. Well, none of us really know what happens when we die, right? I mean, the short answer, spoiler alert to your podcast, is we don't know shit.
Yep.
All right, next one.
That works. All right, cool. Our second shout out this week is from the homie Hawk. Hawk, who made...
Hello.
Hi, Hawk. Hawk, who we've called on the show. Hawk, who has
Keeper of the list.
Keeper of the list, the almighty list. I swear to God, when we joked about, hey, if somebody has a list, send it to us, I
thought there was literally a 0% chance.
0%. I was dead certain that was not a thing that had existed. And Hawk was like, yeah, I got that list. Yes. What up?
Continue to amaze us.
Yeah, no doubt.
Hawk says what?
Hawk says, a message for anyone who needs to hear it this week, and I love it. It is, your anxiety is lying to you. You're loved, and you are going to be okay. You are given this life because you are strong enough to live it. Every moment is a fresh beginning.
Fuck yeah.
Fuck yeah, Hawk. Thanks for that. Thanks
love you guys.
Thanks for rocking with us. We love this little community that we built, and we love you guys. Thank you all so much. Again, if you want to shout out, go to whatifpodcast.com/shout out and grab your own for the show. And with that, we'll get back to the show.
Let's talk about being abducted by aliens.
Here we go.
Because that's all I have left in my notes.
Yeah.
Did you have anything you want to talk about before we get to Ralph's crazy ass fucking Venusians?
I think we pretty much covered it from I guess like both a high and a low level about kind of what's going on with the phenomenon itself. I think we can get into what is actually happening after we talk about Ralph.
That's fine. I don't really have any good answers for that section either. So if you do, we can go there. But
I don't either. There's just like a lot of very strange speculation about it. So
cool. I'll tell a story about aliens, then we can speculate.
Let's speculate our way out after we talk about Ralph. And I think actually talk about Ralph in relationship to one of the things that you brought up, which is how do these stories proliferate themselves or potentially proliferate themselves, and also how do tropes in culture and content help influence people's ability to see these types of things, and also people's ability to judge for themselves what is happening.
Yeah.
Because I think the speculation around what's happening is interesting, but there are a lot of like inflection points with this phenomenon specifically that change what you may or may not believe is going on here.
So our guy Ralph Lael, is it Lael? How we doing this? Lael. Is that Lael?
So, wait, say it one more time.
Lael is how his last name is spelled. So I don't know if that's Lael or Lael or you're looking for buttons and I'm stalling like you're going to hit something, but I don't think you're going to hit something. It's okay. We'll give you time. Timing is everything.
I'm doing such a bad job.
Timing is everything. You trying to find the worst name I ever heard? It's on the orange.
That's the worst name I ever heard.
Oh, God. Oh, no. I double tapped.
Flat out deceit.
I'm fired. You guys, I shouldn't have bragged about how good I was doing.
Yeah, I'm going to have to take that back. Anyway, we didn't answer the question still. We'll call him Ralph.
That's the worst name I ever heard.
Fair enough. In 1961, he decided that he was going to go try and observe the Brown Mountain Lights because at this point they were pretty well established as a weird thing that happens in North Carolina.
Yeah, like the earliest version of this I was able to find was 1911. So the latest, earliest version I was able to find documented.
You just repeated the same thing that I didn't understand. The earliest modern version? Is that maybe what you're saying?
Sure, yes. Yep,
okay,
that
cool.
one.
In 1961, Ralph went to try and find the lights because he had heard about them and wanted to see them for himself. And he found them. And he found them in a more intimate way than most people have found them. And he got much closer, like physically. This is not.
Yep. No, you said it already. Let's do it.
In proximity to most people observe the lights at a considerable distance. He saw them at a distance of a few feet or a few meters for our non-imperialist listeners.
Holy shit! Hey!
And he wrote a book about his experiences. In his book, he described his first encounter with the lights by saying this, quote, "I'm frightened, don't know what to do. One light moves forward. It is now about 10 feet from me and it is glowing. I could read a newspaper by the light shining off of it. It's about 10 to 12 feet across, almost a perfect circle. It has a brown center that does not look solid. The shape of the brown center is like a tumblebug. I don't know what that is, but without a head standing on its back end. Not touching the ground, but suspended in the center of the ball. It seems to have 3 hands or feelers protruding out from each side."
Whoa.
So
I'm getting dicked on this one.
correct.
That is interesting.
Ralph is the only person I've found who claims to have seen one of the lights close up within a matter of feet.
Yeah.
And also claims to have seen some sort of creature inside
Feelers.
In the center of a 10 to 12 foot in diameter glowing orb.
Yeah, and for what it's worth, I mean, granted, the documentation that we have is not great, but
The documentation is a book that Ralph wrote about his experiences. Let's be honest.
well, no, I mean the documentation outside of Ralph's book.
Oh, got it.
Like the photos and videos and even the eyewitness stuff we've seen. 12 feet across does not really jive with most of the reports.
It's hard to say based on the photos and video because it's really hard to know, like, I mean, focus could be the difference between something appearing a foot across and 12 feet across, honestly.
True.
Like a single light source, if out of focus, can appear drastically different in size from what it might actually be.
That's true.
And when you're talking about distances of like hundreds or thousands of feet or meters or 29 miles in one case, like who really knows what this like diameter of light you're talking about at that point?
That's fair. I guess I just felt like for the most part, a lot of people felt like they were roughly smaller than that. Like a few feet across was maybe like the max estimate I had seen.
Yeah.
Until I heard that line in his story.
So yeah, he claims to have seen one of these lights from a distance of 10 to 12 or 10 feet away. And he claims it was 10 to 12 feet in diameter.
Sure.
He watches this thing hover from about 10 feet for a while. And he describes feeling a like strange numbing sensation come over his body, wash like through him.
I'm disturbed. I don't know why I decided to do this.
Me too, Rob. He describes the feeling as, quote, being scanned.
Ooh.
So he thought that this orb with a little bug guy inside of it was aware of him and was somehow interacting with him.
Yep.
And scanning him, in his words.
Trying to figure his ass out.
Yeah. After this happened, the orb drifted off into the trees through the forest, and Ralph said he felt compelled to follow it.
Yep.
As is common with a lot of UFO and alien encounters.
Yeah. Feeling like there's a energy or a force that's beyond your control, or that urging you into a situation you wouldn't normally go after.
Right. You're doing things that rationally might not seem like the best choice, but you're doing them. Probably not a great idea to follow the weird orb bug that just scanned your body.
Yeah.
But you're doing it anyway.
What the fuck was that?
Yes. So he follows this thing through this valley for a while, and he sees it float into a cave along, like at the base of Brown Mountain.
And like, I just want to double down on the fact that if you've seen like footage or photos of the terrain, it is not friendly. Like, it is a mountain in the way that it's not very tall, but there are relatively steep inclines. It's fully like forested. It's fully wooded. Like, there's a ton of, it's not like he's like walking
on a trail,
walking down a trail. Like, if he's hunting this thing, he's
through the middle of a fairly dense forest.
Yeah, he's going dead ass like through the woods.
Dead ass. Through the dead ass woods. So he follows this thing and he sees it float into a cave on the side of the mountain. And as he's watching this happen, a boulder that had been like blocking an entrance to this cave.
Oh, is Jesus in there?
Well, sort of.
Was Jesus.
The bug orb might be Jesus in this case.
Jesus was scanning.
If we're going with this analogy.
Jesus was scanning him to be like, are you on the nice list or the naughty list?
That's Santa.
I mean, it's the same thing.
Is it? Sorry, Christian listeners. I don't know. You went to a fucking Catholic school. You should be more responsible than me over here.
Only for a little while. I know it's not. You guys, please don't send emails. I know it's not the same thing. Please don't.
I mean,
but also
the stories kind of line up, right?
But also it's not far.
So Jesus orb floats into this cave by moving a boulder that had been blocking the entrance to this cave.
So totally Jesus. Yep.
Yeah. Before the boulder moves back, Ralph Indiana Joneses his ass into the cave behind the orb.
Seen it. Fuck with you, boy.
Oh, all of them?
Yeah.
Even the more recent, like weird alien skulls one?
No, and also I didn't finish the one.
You don't even know the difference between the three?
I don't. I'm sorry.
It's despicable.
Yeah, actually, yeah. Maybe I haven't seen all three of them. I've definitely seen the first one.
So he Indiana Joneses his ass into the cave, and he finds himself in this tunnel system. So this entrance to this cave is actually part of a network of tunnels that appear to be carved, and he says with laser-like accuracy.
Sick.
And that the inside of this cave is covered in some sort of like reflective crystal-like material.
Hell yeah.
Yes. And he follows so it's easy to follow this light orb thing going down the cave tunnel pathway.
This is glimmery as fuck up in this
because it's reflecting
thing.
Everywhere. Yeah.
Hell yeah.
So he follows this thing and eventually he catches up to it and he finds himself inside this bigger chamber in the middle of the mountain.
A chamber of secrets, if you will.
Perhaps, yes. And the orb starts talking to him. So we now have
as those orbs be doing.
And the orb says, "Do not fear, there is no danger here."
Uh-oh. You know what I feel like? Anytime.
If you have to tell me it's not dangerous.
Yep. If you're proactively telling me it's not dangerous, I'm for sure thinking it's probably super dangerous and I need to get the fuck out.
Well, Ralph approached the situation differently. A chair of some sort appears and Ralph sits down in it. And
you done fucked up already, bro.
the orb voice continues talking to him and identifies itself as a gas-based life form from Venus.
Okay.
And it starts, for whatever reason, because it scanned Ralph and determined he was pure of heart and belonged on the nice list, it starts sharing with him secrets of mankind. And it tells him that humans are not originally from Earth, but are actually from a planet called the Pewam.
That's an idea.
Oh, did you find the mute button, or did I already chop that one?
That's chopped.
Oh, okay. Sorry,
No, I'm not
giving you too much credit.
Yeah, you give me way too much credit.
Humans are not originally from Earth, but had originated on a planet called Pewam. That's Pewam.
Cool.
But that Pewam was destroyed in a terrible accident that involved splitting the electron. So we got too carried away with the old electron splitting.
Heck.
Bummer sauce.
The orb then told Ralph that humans were now nearing this point of self-destruction a second time on Earth, and tasked him with warning the rest of humanity about the dangers of, I guess, nuclear power. It's the whole like contactee thing of the 60s and into the 70s of like, oh man, nukes. Oh no, we're here to help. Space bros, we're here to help, and don't kill yourselves, man.
You guys are acting crazy out there, man.
Raise your vibrations, bro.
Hey, you're just gonna hurt yourself and others, man, with like the things that you're pursuing.
Chill out and put good vibes into the universe,
Yo,
man.
if you just tell people to chill, then we can all chill and be chill, okay? Shit.
So they tell him about this, and they also tell him like,
Say, you all didn't happen to do a bunch of drugs, did you?
well, probably.
Sorry, I got late.
The orb then also tells Ralph like, hey, if you don't go running your mouth about the secrets of the universe and whatnot, we can be chill, and we can keep having these weird crystal cave hang sessions.
And he said, sign me up.
Yeah, he said, I'm down. So a couple weeks later, Ralph comes back to the cave and he finds the same orb bug. And they scanned him again to be like, are you still cool? You're not a narc? All right, you can come in. And
God, are you wearing a wire?
exactly.
You about to try to trap Jesus?
Hey, Jesus bug orb, speak into my shirt real quick.
Trying to get some Jesus entrapment real quick.
Hashtag speak into my shirt.
I got kidnapped by a Jesus orb.
Will you hand me another beer before I finish this dumbass story?
Yep.
Thank you. So Ralph had passed the test by not ratting them out.
Not narking?
Yeah, by not narking the location of
Listen,
their...
you wee bastard.
Oh, jeez.
Life's too short to be messing around.
No.
You need to live your life. Enjoy your time here
See,
on
I hit the
planet
mute
Earth.
button, but the mute button doesn't work.
Shift mute.
Oh, because it's
Shift
the
mute.
upper thing.
You're fired. You're fired from
I need a table.
From soundboard.
It was in my. It was.
You know what? You're right.
You
We
know
need
what
to
it
get you one of
was?
those like the desks that we had that in elementary school that have like the arm that comes over.
Oh, that would crush so hard.
Yeah.
Hey guys, I'm sorry about that.
It's okay. I apologize.
Carry on.
So he goes back, and the orb bug Jesus guy agrees to tell him more stuff because he's been cool for the last couple weeks.
Cool. Get it?
And what it offers is to take him on a ride on their spaceship back to Venus, where they're from.
Hell yeah!
Yeah, well, I mean, that's what Ralph said. He said, fucking count me in. I would love to go to Venus with y'all weird orb asses.
He sounds like you, bro.
Dude,
That's
if
what
I
you-
ever went into a cave and
I meant that
we've
logic.
covered-
I meant that literally and logically that would be your take. If you went into a cave and an orb said, "Hey, bro, do you want to come with us to Venus?" You would literally respond.
Hell yeah!
Yo, I had an eye exam today. This is sort of not related, but it's sort of related. Never mind.
Nope.
I'm gonna keep telling the story.
No.
We'll come back. That's more of Patreon content.
I love this shit.
Y'all
I
ever
love
been
you
too
guys.
high for the eye doctor? That's all I'm gonna say. No buttons for that one.
You all didn't happen to do a bunch of drugs, did you?
Oh, that's great. All right, carry on.
Okay, so the Venusians say like, "Hey man, come check this shit out. Like, get on the spaceship and we got some shit for you. And Ralph says, hell yeah, I'm down. And he gets on the UFO. They go to Venus. Ralph's first order of business, he gets off the ship and all the Venusians are dudes. Except for one fine-ass Venusian lady.
See, so this is how you know.
No,
this.
Ralph's telling stories. It's whatever.
Okay, all right.
He's obviously lying. We know. The story's funny. There's not that much Brown Mountain Light content to fill an hour. We're going to tell a story about this dude fucking an alien, okay? We got like 5 minutes left.
We're
tops.
off the rails. Let's do this.
So he goes and chats up this Venusian lady and...
Did you read the book?
No.
All right. You read about the book. All right.
Well, here's the thing. I tried to find a copy of the book, and it's another, like, they must have printed 20 copies of this thing. It was printed in the 60s. There are no digital copies anywhere.
Sure.
There are no even, like, secondhand copies available for purchase anywhere.
Yep.
It's you have to go to North Carolina to one of these 5 libraries and read it in person situation.
North Carolina listeners.
Yeah, I mean, whatever.
Yeah.
Ralph's full of shit. So he has sex with a Venusian lady, and then they decide to show him around town, and they give him a little tour, tell him about their society, about their culture, and they tell him that there are many other civilizations like theirs throughout the universe.
I was under the impression that the Pewam?
The original human planet?
Pewam?
Yeah.
Wasn't he
Pewam, perhaps?
Pewam! Weren't they trying to say that that their original home had been murdered?
Their original home had been
like
murdered.
They had split electrons and that had fucked up their whole home.
That's why humans had to leave Pewam and come to Earth, is because they dicked their first planet.
Okay, and they're
by
saying,
trying to split electrons.
And they're saying, "Hey, Ralph, come back to our crib."
I don't think Venusians were involved in the splitting of electrons on Pewam.
See.
They observed it, and now they're trying to warn humans
Don't
against
fuck it
doing
up
it
again.
a second time.
We saw you fuck. Hey, man, we saw you drunk driving to that sign once, and you're looking a little tipsy right now.
Correct.
Got it.
Correct. I don't know what the intercourse has to do with any of it.
Oh, absolutely nothing. This is just a dude who's a total liar telling a lie about his lying shit.
So
Did you ever think maybe this guy's bullshitting you?
Yes. They fuck him, they show him around town, and then they put him back in the UFO and send him back to North Carolina.
Cool.
And he agreed to, in return for all this information, carpooling and sex, tell the rest of humanity about the dangers of splitting the electron.
Carpooling in space. Hey man, let me catch you right quick.
Yo, you going to Venus too?
Yeah, you got 5 on that tank. Let's go.
Yeah, he didn't even pay, dickhead. Doing humans dirty. They drop him back off in North Carolina, and he's walking out of the cave to go tell humanity about how not to split the electron.
Right.
We're going to blow ourselves up. Bad idea. Don't do it. And on his way out, he finds a mummified body in the cave of a small humanoid creature about 2 to 3 feet tall with a big round head and oddly long arms. Looks sort of like a grayish thing.
A little mountain man, if you will.
Yeah, a little gray alien hanging out in the mountain, being all mummified.
He referred to it as his little mountain man.
Oh, tight. That's cute.
Later in life.
Ralph asked,
because he found it on the mountain before he came back down, I guess is the way
I thought it was in the cave system still.
Well, right. The story that he told people at his crystal shop,
Dude, so many crystal shops on the North Shore, by the way.
Bro.
I spent some time on Lake Superior, which is apparently full of aliens this past weekend.
North Shore is the shit.
Great time.
We spent some time at a crystal shop in Colorado when we were at my
Also
Mistress
a great
Club.
time.
This is somewhat related. Ralph historically had owned a furniture manufacturing plant and was a furniture salesman in his life before he had these Venusian experiences.
Right. Not from Venice.
Not from Venice.
From Venus.
Venusian experiences. And later in life opened up a crystal shop.
Hell yeah.
Wherein he decided to
Be
take.
smashing that hell yeah, bro
Hell
button
yeah.
if I had it right.
Hell yeah, bro.
Hell yeah, bro!
There we go. He decided to take his experiences and his little mountain man back to his crystal shop, wherein he put his little mountain man on display.
Yes. So just to back up real quick.
Sorry, I got ahead of you.
No, it's okay. He found this weird mummified alien being in the cave, and he asked the Venusians or the glowing orb bug guy,
"Sure,
hey man, is it cool if I take this with me so I can tell my human friends about this whole experience and prove that prove that I met the aliens and they told me about the electron and whatnot.
I've been hanging out with you guys, and I need to be able to tell people that I have been hanging out with you guys."
And so the glowing orb bug guy was like, yeah, that's Brian. Take him. It's fine.
Yeah.
You can show him to all your human friends.
Honestly, Brian was on his way out anyway.
Right.
He's like, he's borderline already dead. Oh, wait. No, he's dead. You could take him.
Yeah. So he takes this little mummy alien guy with him, and then spends the rest of his days running a crystal shop with a mummified alien in it until the place gets bulldozed.
Yeah, I mean, writing a book to try to help people understand,
What in the fuck was that?
What in the fuck was that?
Mm-hmm.
And, profiting off of the off of the legend of the Brown Mountain Lights.
I guess.
Yeah, define profiting. He didn't sell the fucking little alien. He just had it in the front of his shop. And
he allegedly had offers on it, though.
Oh, did he really?
Yeah, well, according to him, yes. He died in 1978, and the shop was bulldozed. And I guess the alien body thing was still in the shop at the time of bulldozing, so it was either destroyed or we don't know where it is now.
The story goes that it disappeared forever, and there is a phenomenal conspiracy theory that the Men in Black...
Oh, yeah, we got some Men in Black tie-ins.
The Men in Black had visited Ralph, figured out what he knew, realized he knew too much, but that as an old furniture salesman who had a buck wild ass story about being abducted to the planet Venus off of the local mountain and had this weird fucking proof, in quotes, alien with him, that he wasn't actually a threat, but when he died, they wanted to just bulldoze everything, take his shit, and make sure that there was no memory of him being a weirdo.
Oh, the Men in Black bulldozed his shit.
Yes. Well, his place was bulldozed, and it was made clear that the things that he was in possession of would be no longer visible or viable.
I see.
Because of what he knew.
I think this is the point where we get to any speculation you wanted to do, and then we get on with our lives.
I think, so here's what I'll say. I think the Ralph story is a fun story because I think local lore is interesting. It's obviously bullshit.
It's a great example, too, of how these types of stories get reinterpreted throughout various time frames.
Yeah.
So, what might have been a Native American legend at one point becomes a contactee legend at one point, becomes an abduction story at one point, becomes and the same basic thing, observation, can be interpreted in a bunch of different ways depending on what the culture is like at the time in that place.
Totally. I completely agree with you. And I also feel like there's an element of it too, where it's, There's an interesting element of these types of stories where it's almost like the loudest voice can shape how society and culture interprets a thing going forward. I don't know. There were not early speculations that the Brown Mountain Lights were aliens. We're talking about the 1910s.
There wasn't speculation that anything was aliens or the idea of UFOs until the 40s, really.
Exactly. And so it's this thing had been lore that there were lights over the mountains, potentially going back before, in the late 1800s, early 1900s.
Spirits or something else.
Right. Yeah. And then someone comes out and writes a book that in the area makes a splash. That can shape the narrative of what a story becomes up until now, till we're talking about it on this fucking podcast, like significantly. But yes, I mean, like the reality of the situation is his story is obviously bullshit and ridiculous.
Hey, come on.
I'm gonna say it. It's not true.
My man had the sex. Come on.
And he was trying to fucking drum up business for his crystal shop with his fucking fake alien.
You know what?
And his fake book. And like, I'm not trying to be a dick. I'm just trying to say that's exactly what's happening in my personal opinion.
I agree with your personal opinion in this case.
But what I would add on to that is I find it extremely fascinating that there are thousands of people over the past 100+ years who have individual personal eyewitness accounts of a thing that we have captured on multiple different cameras at the exact same time in this exact specific place.
It's not Venusians trying to come have sex with us and give us alien mummy bodies, but it's also not nothing.
It's not nothing. And actually,
somewhere in between those two ends of that, whatever spectrum that is.
One of the things I wanted to read is fucking, God forbid, it's a YouTube comment from a guy named, the username is Rocket Man, who commented on the video I was talking about earlier, where the guy is interviewing his family members about their experiences with the Brown Mountain Lights.
Okay.
And I really loved the succinctness. Is that a word?
Succinctity?
I loved how succinct he was in his comment by saying this. 1, either people are seeing something or they are not. 2,
they're not seeing something.
If people are seeing something, either people are seeing something or they are not. If they are seeing something, the lights are something known to science, or they are something not known to science.
So far, it appears that they are not.
So I know that sounds super fucking base and almost like silly, but I like the idea of boiling down these types of things to that level of brass tacks.
It's a very logical approach.
Are people seeing something? In my opinion, over the course of 100 years, with that many individual experiences, individual eyewitness testimonies, we have footage. Yes, people are seeing something. Is it known to science? Okay, well, that gets into a whole level of explanations that get a little bit dicey.
Yeah.
You get into like naturally phosphorescent chemicals, and you get into some of these like swamp gas conversations, and you get into...
Yeah? We going swamp gas?
There is swamp gas
involved. I didn't know there were swamps in the Appalachians.
There is swamp gas. Well, not literal swamp gas, but the swamp gas concept comes from chemicals created by deteriorating organic matter that interact with others that can potentially create like phosphorescent light.
There've been some ball lightning possible
ball
explanations
lightning
too,
is an
which
explanation.
Is sort of a catch-all for we don't know usually, but
it totally is. They're also talking about are there elements of this reflectiveness, right? Like, are people seeing things from specific angles in surrounding areas because it's a bowl? Are they seeing those types of things? There are no military bases in the area. There are like some National Guard things, but they're like, I scoured maps. There are no like military bases. This is not like flight technology.
No.
So when it comes to explanations,
if it is something known to science, it is a different version of something known to science than we have observed in other locations.
And that's, I think, actually, you know, when you come around to it, like, that's actually what I really loved about this story specifically is, to me, it's one of the most concrete versions of something's happening. And it's also one of the most concrete versions of no one has any fucking idea what's happening.
Yeah.
And that mesh of, it seems like there's fucking something here, but no one can tell you what the fuck that something is. And no one has a good explanation. Like, no one has a concrete explanation for you. I mean, like, most of the early explanations from the early 1910s and 20s and 30s, I mean, one thing we didn't get into earlier that is probably too late to introduce now, but there was such a public outcry for explanation or investigation of what was happening because so many people had seen it, that the U.S. Geological Survey Department sent people to observe and witness and report on what was happening. And there were multiple like long form reports written and during 2 different decades. So 2 different decades, they resent people out because people continue to be like, your early ones sucked. There's still something going on.
Right. That ain't it.
We need more information. Come the fuck back out. So 2 different reports were written. And in those reports, the best example or the best explanation they could give was that there were train tracks in the distance and that train lights were what people were observing or reflections of train lights.
Yeah.
And it's just like from all the eyewitness testimonies you hear and from all the footage that well, not footage, but the documentation that we do have available to us, like it's kind of ludicrous to suggest that something so obviously man-made and like very replicable and very traceable to being like, that's where I saw it. Is there a train track over there?
Right.
And like, there's not, for what it's worth. Like there is not train tracks in this area at all. Like, how can you settle on something so pedestrian when it's obviously not that? So that's what I mean by like, I find it very interesting what exists there for possibility. And I find it very interesting that there isn't anyone who's solidified anything out of it. So that's why I think it's such a great story. And I legitimately, this is one of those ones where I like walk away from it going like, I really don't know. Like, I don't know what I need to know, but I don't know. Like I have no fucking idea, but I believe it's something.
Before we leave, we have an early leader in the clubhouse for best reason we should give them a contact in the desert ticket.
Dope.
It reads simply, y'all doing giveaways? Fuck with me, I'm grown now.
I love it. There's one quote I want to read on the way out. Make sure you go to our Instagram and comment on our most recent photo if you want to get that contact in the desert free ticket to the episode, the
whole last weekend of weird shit,
which will be an episode of your life, no doubt.
If you want to get drunk with me,
hang out with Spencer,
Saturday in the desert,
do that. Go to our Instagram @WhatIfPod and make that happen. Be the next front runner. This quote I wanted to read is from a paranormal investigator his name is Josh Warren. And what he said in this article that I read, he said, all we really have here is a mysterious phenomenon. So people bring their own perception to bear on it. If you're a physicist, you're going to say it's plasma. If you're a spiritualist, you're going to say it's ghosts. It's this blank slate on which you can project your desires and your interests.
Hell yeah.
I find that dope and interesting.
That's what we do here.
It's the What If Podcast. You can leave us a voicemail at 612-246-4614. You can send us an email at hi@whatifpodcast.com. Shop.whatifpodcast.com has all of our merch and our swag.
New merch coming soon.
Thanks for your feedback on that shit. Patreon.com/whatifpodcast. We could do an extra episode every single week. You could get 4 episodes.
2 times.
A month for just $5. We love you. We'll see you next week.
Listen, you wee bastards. Life's too short to be messing around. You need to live your life. Enjoy your time here on planet Earth.